So I would say, first and foremost, your voice and your experience matter. The community will benefit from your perspective and from what you have to contribute. So knowing that you have something important to share and that all of these bumps in the road, we all experience. You're not alone. Even if you're not hearing it all the time, you're part of this larger community of people kind of falling and then having to pick themselves up through the struggle. And it's okay that it happens to all of us because we're going to grow and we're going to be better scientists and people, and to really do your best to try to not take it personally. This is more a broader question of the Instagram image of sometimes we only want to share our highlights and only the nicest part of our life, and not all of the work that went into it, not all of the strife and struggle and sweat and tears that are part of growing and learning and investing in hard work.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Let's Talk. I am so excited to host Dr. Laura Figueroa, a National Science Foundation Postdoctoral Research Fellow in Entomology at Cornell University and Environmental Conservation at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Laura is a dedicated conservation scientist with a research background in disease and community ecology, climate change, and invasive species spread. She has had experience in both academic and environmental nonprofit sectors, science outreach, and project management. Most importantly, Laura is passionate and committed to bringing diverse stakeholders together to accomplish conservation goals. Personally, Laura inspires me so much, and I am super glad that she is sharing her journey in academia on this platform and also talking about how to overcome rejection in academia. On this note, welcome again, Laura.
Thanks so much, Emelia. I'm honored to be here.
Great. Our topic today is talking about how to overcome rejection in academia. Before we delve more into the topic, I'd like to ask you, are there rejections in academia? And if there are, can you share a little about what rejection looks like in academia?
Yes. So this is something that I think many students coming in from undergrad might not have experience with, but I think rejection is like a fundamental and very frequent part of academia. So this can take the form of grants getting rejected, and grant writing is an essential part of graduate school and the rest of academia, getting your research funded. And so that is very frequent because many of these grants are highly competitive. Another is getting papers. So we do a lot of work and we want to disseminate our findings to the public and to the broader research community, but also depending on the journal, they might be very competitive or it might not be the right fit. And so sometimes our papers can be rejected. And so I think seeing these rejections not as something personal, but more as something that's part of the process and learning from them is really the way to go.
Wow. Interesting. Something that I would love to talk about is why people don't usually share their rejections and what that means for the academic culture as a whole. What do you think about that?
Yes, I think, so that's a great question, Emelia. I think this is more a broader question of the Instagram image of sometimes we only want to share our highlights and only the nicest part of our life, and not all of the work that went into it, not all of the strife and struggle and sweat and tears that are part of growing and learning and investing in hard work. And so I think that is why often we don't share. And I think, unfortunately, there is a lot of imposter syndrome in academia and in a lot of different work environments. And so people feel afraid to be vulnerable and share the hardships that they've endured, because sometimes people think that others might think less of them and that they're the only people who have experienced rejection, when really it's all of us. Everyone has had papers and grants rejected. And I think it's important to normalize it so then it's not something personal. So whenever you get that email, of course it's disappointing. Of course it's frustrating because we invest so much time in these papers and in these grants, but then it's like, it's a bummer. You reflect, you know that it's not personal, you move on, you make it better, and then you get it next time.
Yes, I completely agree with that. So having come this far, can you share some of the rejections that you have had to personally deal with and how you were able to overcome them?
Definitely. So I think one of the first ones was when I was applying to graduate school, I contacted different advisors. And one of them recommended that I apply for the National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship Program, the NSF GRFP, for which I was eligible. And so he and I worked together to make this proposal in a very short amount of time. We actually only had 2.5 weeks to pull the proposal together. And it was actually an incredible opportunity because we got to see how well we work together, the compatibility of writing styles, of interests, how quickly we got back to one another, and how we interpreted each other's feedback. So it was a really great opportunity. That proposal at that time ultimately got rejected, but it still was useful because one, it enabled me to see that this was an excellent fit for me to pursue as a graduate school lab, that he and I worked together. And then the feedback that I got along the way made the proposal better. I reapplied next year and I got the grant the next year, fortunately. Wow. So seeing that not as a failure, which someone could have done, but instead as a learning, growing opportunity. So that's one of the big ones that I've experienced. And there's also others in terms of papers. So one of my research papers, we aimed really high in terms of the impact factor of the journals we were applying for. And sometimes the first time it was rejected at one of the journals, then at another one, it was sent to 2 rounds of review and ultimately rejected. But the great thing is with both of those rounds, I got excellent feedback from the reviewers. And instead of thinking like, no, I'm just gonna keep my way and resubmit exactly the same, I thought really critically about the feedback that the reviewers had. I made the paper better, and ultimately it's one of my most cited papers at this time. And the product is something that I'm really proud of. And so again, seeing that, like, again, it was multiple sets of rejections, but it made the product better, and it's something that the research community hopefully has really picked up on, and it's a well-reviewed paper.
Wow, thank you for sharing these experiences. So we tend to think if something does not go well for us, for like an individual, then they are probably not cut out for it, you know? So what would you like to say to someone who is thinking of giving up after experiencing a rejection in academia?
So I'll say a little bit about that, which is practice makes perfect, or if not perfect, it's good. And so one example is public presentation, which is similarly, it's not the same as rejection, but sometimes we can give a presentation and feel so much panic that then we feel we failed. And so I remember when I presented my undergraduate honors thesis, I felt so nervous and I felt that I could have done better. And so throughout my graduate experience, I practiced and I took a course on outreach and extension, and I really invested time. And now I feel so much more comfortable with giving public presentations. And I think it's the same thing with grant writing. At first, it can be really challenging, knowing how to focus your paper, what's going to really grab the reviewer's attention, what's going to make a really sticky story that is going to get funded. And I think with time and practice, we get better. And so it's seeing it, oh no, the first thing I submitted got rejected, therefore I'm not cut out for this. It's like, okay, what can I learn from this? Where are the comments that I'm getting feedback from, and how can I improve? So again, seeing it as a learning opportunity.
Awesome. So to round up this session, would you like to give any word to other young people out there who are planning to pursue a career in art and probably are scared of some of these rejections that we have highlighted, we have talked about in this session? and have heard of other people's experiences. What is the advice you would like to give to these individuals?
So I would say, first and foremost, your voice and your experience matter. The community will benefit from your perspective and from what you have to contribute. So knowing that you have something important to share, and that all of these bumps in the road, we all experience. You're not alone. Even if you're not hearing it all the time, you're part of this larger community of people kind of falling and then having to pick themselves up through the struggle. And it's okay that it happens to all of us, because we're going to grow and we're going to be better scientists and people, and to really do your best to try to not take it personally whenever these bumps along the road come up.
Wow. This is awesome. So thank you so much, Laura, for sharing your experience and motivating all the people out there to pursue their dreams, regardless of the challenges that may arise in the academic environment. You should definitely check out Laura's website to find out more about her research and all the cool stuff that she does. In our next video, Laura will share her research, and we will be talking about bees, flowers, and parasites. I think it's going to be an awesome time as Laura shares her experience with us. Link is posted in bio. I am your host, Emelia. Let's enjoy science together. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Emelia.